Hello friends, do you really know what actually happens when we run an Android application? Well, there's something called Android Activity Lifecycle. This is a very important process for any Android developers. So over here, as you can see, there are 7 lifecycle methods that we will come across: onCreate, onStart, onResume, onPause, onStop, onDestroy, and onRestart. In this video, I will be showing you 3 different circumstances where what would be the behavior of the Android application and how these functions are going to be executed. So let's start. Imagine you are going to run your app for the very first time, or you are just opening it for the first time. It is not there in the background. Let me show you. There is no recent app in the background. So I'm going to run the app and I will be showing you in the logcat what are the different function calls that will take place by Android operating system by itself. So the step 1, the normal process. So let's run the app now, and as I do that, you will come across in the logcat, see over here what is showing: onCreate, onStart, onResume. That means onCreate, onStart, onResume. These 3 functions will be invoked and your app is in front of you, and now you can interact with your app. So that's what happened when we go for a normal process. Okay, so that's how these 3 methods are getting invoked one after the other, and this is a very important interview question, and you have to mention the sequence in which the functions are getting invoked. Okay, now let's imagine that you want to open. Okay, let me clear this logcat so that the next step which I will show you, these functions will be called and it doesn't get cluttered over here. So I'm clearing the logcat, but remember your onResume was called and because your app is in front of you. So now imagine due to some reason you want to open some other application, some other app, or maybe you want to go for a phone call, or you have received some notification, you want to see it. Now what happens in that case? After resume, right now the resume is there, right? And now first on pause will get stalled, and then on stop, and followed by on restart, start, and resume. Let me show you that. Let me open the let me pass it to the background, and as I do that, look, first on pause gets called and on stop gets called. Okay, and now imagine I'm opening some other application because I maybe I need to give some other call or some other thing. I want to open it. Let's suppose I want to open the calculator. Remember the on pause is there, on pause and stop, my app is in the background. Okay, so as long as you work on this on the app, it stays in on stop process. Okay, now my work is done and I want to resume back my application. So in that case what happened? Then on restart followed by start and resume will be getting called. So let me bring my app to the foreground now. As I do that, remember it is in on stop mode. As I tap on the screen, immediately on start, on restart followed by on start, and on resume will get called. On restart, then on start, and then on resume. So if you note over here, something very interesting takes place. That is, this onCreate is not getting called because it is already created and is there in the history in the recent app. So for that reason, onCreate is not getting called. Rather, on restart is getting called, followed by on start, and then on resume. This is a very important change that is taking place, and you have to remember this. Okay, so as long as you pass the application in the background, this is what is happening. So let me show you again one more time. Let me clear the application logcat. So now if I again want to send it to the background, then again it will be on pause, on stop, as you can see right over here. And suppose I want to get back to my calculator, is still in the background, so on stop is there, and my work is done, and I want to resume it back. So now again what will happen? First restart, then start, and then resume. Here it comes, then restart, start, and resume. Okay, that's all it's going to happen. Okay, so it clearly shows that if you're getting a phone call, this is going to happen on pause, on stop, followed by restart, start, and resume. Okay, very good. Now comes something very interesting. Suppose you want to flip your app, like when you're playing a game, you have to flip the app. I mean, you have to flip your phone. Eventually, your app gets flipped. In that case, something very, very important thing will be happening, because first on pause will get called, then on stop, and then on destroy is going to get called. This destroy was not getting called when you were passing the app in the background. It was not getting called. Rather, it was restart that was getting called. But this time, as you rotate the phone from right now, it's vertically aligned, and now if I go for horizontal, immediately you will see that the app will get destroyed, and hence you have to recreate the app. So create, start, and resume will get called. Let me show you that. As I flip my phone from vertical to horizontal, immediately see what happens. First, my current app get paused, then stop, and then destroy. This is a very important thing. As you are as you see, the app is getting destroyed, and again it's going to be recreating. That means it is starting from the very beginning. So it's creating, it's starting, and then it's resuming. Eventually what happens is all the data that will be in the front end, I mean in your UI, everything will be lost because your app is getting destroyed, and it eventually has to start the app. It has to create the app from the very beginning. So any data that was there in the UI before the flip, everything will be lost, and it has to resume, it has to reinstall it once again. Okay, and that's a very big thing. So when you are flipping your phone, you have to ensure that the data are being kept in a in a preserved manner, so that if you flip the phone back again, now which I will be doing it, so it was resume my app is now, you can work on my app. But suppose if I clear the logcat again, and if I flip it back again, the same thing will happen. On pause, on stop, on destroy would get called, as you can see right over here. On pause, on stop, on destroy got called, and then again you are creating the app from the scratch. So that means you have to hold your data in such a way so that as you are flipping it horizontally to vertically or vice versa, your data are not lost. And that is something going to be the topic of discussion in my next video, that how do you preserve your data so that during this rotation nothing actually affects in context to the data. Okay, otherwise you can see that everything will be lost because you are creating the app from the very beginning. Okay, so that's how these three processes you have to remember, and in each of these processes the lifecycle method that comes in picture you have to remember, because this is a very important hot cake question for interview. Okay, I hope this particular video will be helpful to you. See you soon.